Being a dad and watching my son try to do things in the physical three-dimensional world, like, split wood, he's 8, like split wood or try to start a fire, and how to even build like a structure in the wood stove that is conducive for oxygen intake and combustion of the smallest ones first, so you get a fire. So I got to tell you, I find frustrating to him very, very satisfying. Like, I'll give him overarching like goals and the science behind it. I'll be like, all right, here's how you, and I'll demonstrate, go make a fire. And he'll get so frustrated, but then he starts working through it, right? Because it's so tempting as a parent to come in and just do it. And I really worry about the what happened with the helicopter parenting, from a decade or so ago, and there's folks that come out without having been challenged, without having made mistakes, because entrepreneur, you're going to fail a lot, and you need to fail forward. You got to learn from your mistakes. You got to use them as data points. But that's very basic for a child. Like, is the kid failing at home when he's making meals? Has he even made a meal before? Has he burnt toast? Has he destroyed an entire breakfast by overcooking the eggs? Like, you got to fail at home before you go fail in the world, because you got to be intellectually curious. Like, there's a scientific process to cooking eggs. It's about applying heat and making a chemical change within everything that's coalesced there and the substance that we call an egg. And you've got to fail there, and you got to improve upon it. And then, gosh, a couple days later, I wake up in the morning, I get to work, and here somebody brings me a beautiful crepe that my son made by mixing flour and an egg. And I'm like,
Yeah.
and wow, like what's the difference? He's like, oh, I figured out which pan to use. The technology of the metallurgy of the cooking instrument, and he finally
So
figured out
simple though.
the tools.
Yeah, it's so simple, yet it goes such a far way. And I do have to run in a couple of minutes here because I got another call here, but it goes such a long way. And I think that if we instill this in our children, we at least everything that happens in our society is usually from 2 generations for the most part. And for the longest time, I was worried with the last 2 generations. I'm on the very beginning of the millennials, even though I don't believe I am one. I coin it as the equilibrium generation, where from 85 to 95, we grew up with the old and we grew into the new. The millennials are notorious for this. But even Gen X, they came from all the baby boomers who were so tough on them. They're so tough on them. So then when they had kids, they would not be tough on them. They want them to be nice. They want to be all... Well, now they're the brats that are the millennials and the Gen X, or the Gen Z, forgive me. And funny enough, if you start going to Gen Alpha, and there's something in between Alpha, my daughter's in Alpha, there's something between Gen Z and Alpha. I have a lot of faith in that generation, even the Gen Z, the younger ones, because we started correcting. We started realizing, oh, we have been doing this wrong.